Welcome to another episode of Pilots in Airplanes Having Breakfast. Today I'll fly and talk with Christy Wong and Dan Millican, the hosts of the popular aviation talk show In the Hangar. We'll fly to Hutchinson, Kansas in Dan's Cessna 210, nicknamed Lola, and also introduce you to Christy's airplane, the Wong Warrior. Let's go meet Christy and Dan.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Christy Wong and Dan Millican. Christy and Dan are the hosts of In the Hangar, which I've had the pleasure to attend a couple of times. And
yes.
I must say that is, of everything I've seen on aviation YouTube, the most professionally produced content that I've seen.
Well, I appreciate that.
Dan, why don't you give us a quick tour of your
Lola.
210, of Lola.
The 210. Okay, so this, we got, by the way, you've got the Lockheed Electra making all the noise that we're fighting. Beautiful plane. It's similar to the model that Amelia Earhart flew in. So anyway, now we tell them why. Okay, the Cessna 210 is Cessna's biggest single-engine piston plane they made. It's a 6-seater, no wing strut. It's a different wing design than all the other Cessnas, even though it's a high wing.
This must be the bomb drop?
Yeah, the bomb drop. So this is the radar. It's original with the plane in 1980.
Wow.
So this is weather radar, and it can shoot out and tell us real time what's going on, because like even the stuff that we get today on XM or whatever, NORAD, whatever radio weather reports you're getting can be delayed even up to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This gives you real time. However, it does not give you the ego to go, ooh, and now I can shoot the gap. That's not a good idea. Don't do that.
Good. And we'll take Lola to our
We're going
lunch.
to take Lola to our lunch, but now...
Now we want to see the Wong Warrior.
Yes, absolutely. So this is a 1981 Piper Cherokee Warrior 2. She's got the 180 horsepower upgraded engine. So typically the Warriors would come stock with either the 150 or the 160 horsepower. She's got the STC for the 180 horsepower. So that's what she's got, is a Lycoming 0360 in her.
So you get more speed and probably more useful load
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
right?
So it increased the max gross weight to from like 2330 up to 2440. So we could take a little bit more now because of it.
And one thing to really note, there is a Lycoming engine in here. It doesn't run just on love, rainbows, and unicorns.
This is true. Yeah, most people think that this airplane just runs
But
on
love, rainbow, and unicorns, they help, right?
They help.
Well, what it
extra
is
5
it's
to 10
actually
knots.
love, rainbows, and 100 low leads. So
Yeah.
this airplane has got the long semi-tapered wings, and she goes to a 35-foot wingspan. Because of that, she's also got the elongated stabilator. So of course everybody knows, you know, the difference between an elevator and a stabilizer. Well, she's got a stabilator, the whole thing moves. And I've got the gust lock on, so she's not going to move, of course. I love this airplane with all my heart and soul.
I can tell, yeah.
I love this airplane probably more than most people. I'm actually going to hire Ben to give her a nice bath after we get back because she's a little dirty from sitting out here the last couple of days.
Let's take a quick look at the cockpit.
Yeah.
And notice you have to go to that side. There is only one door on
There
the
is.
Piper
Yes.
Cherokee.
Yes, absolutely.
Come on, Piper.
So,
Make another door.
this airplane has a standard 6-pack. It's got the dual VOR DME ADF, and it's got 2 KX 155s. I am in the works of upgrading the avionics. It's not going to be a drastic upgrade. I'm probably just going to put a GPS center, and I'm probably going to take the ADF out. It breaks my heart,
What's
actually.
an ADF?
It's to shoot NDB approaches, so, you know.
Are there any left?
There are
No.
actually. Yes, at Denton there is one. I love this airplane so much.
All right, so we'll give the Warrior a break here and take Lola, the Cessna 210, to Hutchinson. And I will be in the back seat today. I haven't flown in the back seat in a long time, but I feel really comfortable because you're both CFIs, and Christy, you have a type rating for a regional jet, is that right?
That is correct.
All right, we'll talk more about it over lunch.
Awesome.
Let's go fly.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to close the door. Okay. There we go. Sorry.
Pre-flight's complete. Tow bars removed. Seatbelt secure.
Secure, right?
Brakes are set. Christy's working radios. I'm flying, pilot flying. The
winds and baro, I've gotten, the baro's 30.0, and winds are very light from the south, slightly quartering. We will be a little heavy because we've got full tanks, but Lola doesn't mind.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started, quarter inch. All right, clear.
Clear prop.
Okay, here we go.
We are going to a Class Delta airport.
Excellent. Okay, K-Hut, confirm.
Confirmed.
Activate.
So Hutchinson has a nice long 7,000 foot runway. We're probably going to be landing runway 13. And pattern altitude is 2,500.
All right, so traffic, we've got the Cub here that's going to be landing in the grass, but we'll go ahead and wait for him for situational awareness on his part.
Set, flap set to 10. Flight controls free and correct.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Stearman traffic, Centurion 4620 Yankee, departing runway 17, staying right close traffic, Stearman.
I got 17 on the runway.
17 confirm.
At 17 on my compass.
All right, that's check complete.
Okay. Good manifold pressure. Airspeed align. Okay, there's 70.
Rotate. Positive rate.
Okay, gear up.
You're coming up.
Steamer time number 13946, we're approximately 3 miles to the east, going to cross over midfield, entering a right downwind for runway 17, Stearman.
Air coming on. Alright, that was good.
No, that's
Steamer
right.
traffic, Milwaukee's going to back taxi 17.
Give me a magenta line, direct enter.
Okay, direct, enter. There's your magenta line, and I don't know if you want it naving or if you want the magenta line here.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I've got to also have it here.
What altitude are we climbing to?
4,500.
Okay.
Steamer time number 13946, turning right base, runway 17, Stearman traffic.
And you've got traffic on here, so yep, no factor there. Awesome, looking good. All right, after takeoff checklist, so gas, prop, mixture, flaps.
Steamer time number 13946, turning final, runway 17, Stearman, take your time.
Compass needed. Alright.
All right, after takeoff checklist complete. I like you a lot, Dan.
I like you too, Christy.
I really like flying with you. And honestly, I just like being your partner in this. This has been a really
flying.
I do. I love flying, but I just really like being your partner. This has been a really fun journey. So, and I can't wait to see what we do next. We've been doing a lot of cool stuff lately.
Yes, it is a lot of fun.
All right, we are currently 25 miles out.
I'm pulling back on RPM.
You got it.
Cruise. Power is
All right.
desired.
Would you like your cow flaps closed?
Yeah.
All right.
We have pretty tall towers that are going to be just off to our right as we enter their delta.
Okay. I'll be on the lookout for those towers. Hutchinson Tower, Centurion 4620 Yankee, 15 to the southeast inbound with Mike.
Centurion 4620 Yankee, Hudson Tower. East Coast 3 TV, antennas 5 east of the field, port left downwind, runway 13.
We'll be looking for those towers, set up for left downwind, 13, 4620 Yankee.
Briefing the landing. Upon entering downwind, we will do our first compass check. At that point, I will lower gear. And first notch of flaps. On base, second notch of flaps. On final, third notch of flaps. I want to be 90 on short final, 80 over the number, 70 near touchdown. Tower still in sight.
Yep. I think we found the turbulence layer.
Yeah.
Tower, Centurion 4620 Yankee, entering left downwind for 13.
Centurion 20 Yankee, runway 13 cleared to land. Wind now 160 at 8.
All right, 13 clear to land, 4620 Yankee, thank you. All right, one more, gas undercarriage mixture.
Okay, and going full flaps.
All right, you'll have just a slight crosswind from the right. Right, you're F and 10.
Okay, runway made. Loaded right there.
Oh,
That was good.
right. Airplane. Okay. Looks like we got tie downs over here, or we could set up right
I'll
here.
just set up right here, next to this beautiful plane.
Avionics. Lights where I want them.
Well, here we are, Christy and Dan. Thanks for joining me here. We're in Hutchinson at the airport steakhouse. Christy and Dan, I met for the first time not quite a year ago on my first visit to.
Because we did it in August. We shot in
recording.
August, yeah.
Yes, I was in the hangar. My first appearance in the hangar. It
Yeah.
was probably the, I don't know, third time maybe that you were doing it, or second.
I think it was
It was the
season,
third.
yeah,
It
season
was the
3.
third. And you know, we'd become friends. Christy was friends with Brian long before, but I'd gotten to know Brian really well just right at the beginning of In the Hangar. And Brian came back from Osh in July, and you had done the poster thing with for the 2 charities.
Right.
And he told me about you. And I said to Brian, it'd be great if we get Martin on In the Hangar.
And you know, I had seen you and observed your work in the studio, which is a professional setup like nothing I've ever
Like
seen in
this.
the YouTube world. Yeah, I know. You have access to all that nice equipment.
So I run a film and video production company, but I'll tell you, I mean, it used to be 10 years ago, you know, we could really preach, you know, hire us because we're high quality, and how important that is. And in the corporate world, for our corporate video, it's still somewhat true. But in the last 10, 15 years of YouTube explosion and people moving their eyeballs away from network TV and away from cable and onto the computer and onto YouTube, it opened up a door for anybody with a camera, you know, just right out of their pocket to shoot things. And it brought home, I think, to Hollywood and the people way up big, it brought home that it's not about the quality of the camera, it's not about the quality of sound necessarily, although it can distract, it's about the content.
Right.
And it's about the storytelling.
So I had seen you a couple of times work as a team during In the Hangar recordings. Today, for the first time, I witnessed you work as a team in the cockpit. And I was impressed.
Oh, you were?
It felt like
good. It's like, oh, we passed the test.
It felt like a pretty well-oiled machinery. You've done this before, right?
Some,
Flown
yeah.
together.
Yeah, we've flown together several times.
Several times, yeah.
Yeah.
The roles, you know, who does what, how you remind each other of things, that seemed well structured and well rehearsed. Christy, is that something that you brought in from your airline training, or had you always been doing it this way?
I mean, we had always worked together as a crew. Obviously, my airline training has prepared me a little thoroughly. Like I've got more structure, more thoroughness and whatnot. And not only that, but the reasons why behind it. I have definitely integrated that into the GA cockpit as well. But Dan and I mean, we always briefed our flights before, who's doing what, this, that. We're gonna, you know, Dan's a great co-pilot to work with, so.
We'll get back to In the Hangar later, but I'd like to hear each of your stories of how you got into flying. When in your life did that happen? Were you always interested in airplanes from young childhood, or what planted that seed, if you remember?
Oh gosh, mine goes back almost a lifetime. I've wanted to be a pilot pretty much my whole life. I've been fascinated with airplanes, and when I was about 4 years old, my grandfather got me this little book, and I was fascinated. And I remember so distinctly, my favorite airplane was the DC-10. And it just being 4-year-old me, you know, I'd draw pictures in it. I had that book, I think, until it fell apart. But I was unable to realize my dream. Just, you know, we grew up very poor, and it was, you know, go to college, and, you know, so I paid my way through college, and I could never afford flying. I took a couple discovery flights in 2007, and was fascinated. I'm doing this, and you know, it was something that I knew I had to do, and then I looked at the price tag and I went, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is so expensive, and I had just gotten done with college, and I got into my career, and I was an allergy specialist, and that career actually helped bankroll me into being able to afford to learn how to fly. So, and it wasn't until 2014 when I met my friend Heather. She's a captain for an airline. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're a captain, you're my age, and you're amazing. You fly these big, beautiful jets. And she really started to re-inspire me. She relit that fuse. We bought the Warrior right before I took my check ride. And then as soon as I got done with my private pilot check ride, which took me 5.5 months, because I was very, determined. And then I rolled right into my instrument training, and then the rest is history. Exactly 3 years, 0 to hero for my first hour logged with Steve in February of 2017. I hit my 1500th hour that same day 3 years later.
Well, for me, getting into aviation was similar. As a kid, the books, I remember some of my favorite books were all about airplanes, World War I and World War II especially. I became really fascinated with World War II. And as a elementary kid, we'd get popsicles every day, and I would, when we were done eating our popsicles, I'd take my stick, I'd get all my friends' sticks, and for like the whole school year, I collected popsicle sticks. And I took them home, and with a steak knife, I would cut the round end off of each popsicle stick so that I had these planks, My favorite show at the time was Ba Ba Black Sheep with Robert Conrad, flying the F-4U Corsair in World War II, and I built a gull wing Corsair out of popsicle sticks. When I got to college, I had some time to do flight lessons, and then I got the price tag. I was like, okay, well, I have the time, I don't have the money. Then later when you have the money, you don't have the time because you're working so hard to get that money. And so it was a catch-22, so I never did it. And go through adult life, go through work, everything else. And in my film and video business, growing that, and then about 8 years ago, the drone craze kind of started. And it hit my industry really hard because the drone offered a new perspective that wasn't really available before. We used cranes and jib arms and things like that for some shots, but the drone was phenomenal. And this is before the Phantoms and everything else. And I bought a huge octocopter that could carry an 18-pound payload, so a really good cinema camera. Wow. And I learned to fly that. Now the problem is that the rules at the time, only if you had a commercial pilot's license could you do commercial drone work. There was no other way around it.
So you had to learn to fly?
Well, no. A commercial pilot's license is going to take years, and it's going to take $60,000. I couldn't do that. Neither could all. And about the time the Phantom 1s are coming out, and everybody's doing it. So I could spend $60,000, 3 years, get way behind all my competitors. It was the Wild West. Everybody just started doing drones, and they basically said, screw you, FAA, we can't do it. And the FAA took some of the more visible guys and pressed them to court, and court said, FAA, this is unenforceable. You need to have a pathway. It's unreasonable to expect these guys to go to a commercial pilot's license. The FAA said at that time, okay, we'll do a stopgap. Right away, if you get any level pilot's license, you apply for what they call the 333 exemption, then you can do commercial drone work. So I said, I always wanted to learn to fly. Now I have a reason to learn to fly. So in January 4th, 2015, I took my first lesson, and 5.5 months later was ready. We got delayed because of weather, but did my check ride a little over 6 months later. And I got my private pilots, I got my 333 exemption, applied for it, one of the few who was legally able to fly drones, but it was still the Wild West and nobody was doing it. And then, of course, 2 years later, they came out with the 107 drone license. Now, I knew I'd fall in love with aviation, and so I did. And so here we are. The irony of that story is that I got my commercial pilot's license.
Yeah. And how much do you instruct these days?
Me, not so much. Christy?
I stopped instructing when I went to the regional. I do a lot of I'll do checkouts and stuff for my flying club. I do some pro bono stuff, just like a lot of groundwork and whatnot as well. So, but as you know, there is a very good possibility that I will be furloughed starting on October 1st. So I will be going back to flight instructing, which so it's a funny story about me in flight instructing. When I got my CFI and when I got my II, I did not intend to be a full-time instructor. I got it to help my flying club. I'm not even joking, And then I got the opportunities that I did with, I joined the cadet program through my airline, and I really lamented over that decision, I'll be honest, because I I had only instructed. I'd been, I think, a CFI for about 8 or 9 months at this point, and I only had accrued about 100 hours of instructing, of instruction given. And so I was really scared because it was like, okay, this is throwing me into the fire kind of thing. But man, I loved it. And that's
I think
why,
that's key, right? Because students can tell if an instructor likes what they're doing or not.
Man, I got so invested in each one of their successes. And when they had, the small failures and stuff like that, or small setbacks, I was right there with them, like propping them up and cheering them on. And we really developed very good relationships along the way. And I'm so proud of all my students. They all passed. And so, so that's why, with the whole situation regarding the furloughs, I'm it's very unfortunate. It's affecting a lot of people, but I know I'll be okay because I really enjoyed the instructing, and going back to that is going to be equally fulfilling. Well, it will be fulfilling to me on some level. I won't get to fly my beautiful regional jet, but I'll be okay because I'll be able to instruct.
Well, let's check out the brunch buffet, and then we'll talk some more.
All right, cool.
I know what you do within the hangar.
Right.
And I love it. But you already had a video business established doing completely different work that I have no idea of. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of projects you took on? Would there be something that I might have seen and without even knowing it was you?
Well, a couple of different things. The bread and butter is corporate communications. And that can be like internal or external. So external is going to be your marketing videos and things like that. Things the company might use for social media to get to do brand awareness or to get sales, product videos, things like that. And we work with small companies all the way to the very big companies like Airbus helicopters. But we'll also do internal video like training and stuff like that.
At some point you decided to come up with some aviation content, and you did it very differently from the normal YouTubers, right? They go flying with their GoPros and.
Well, I started that way actually.
Oh, you did.
That's how we met. Well, sort of.
So what happened?
Talk to me about the very beginnings of what eventually led to In the Hangar and how the two of you met and came up with the concept.
Let me do a follow-up to what we were just talking about of the film and video. So corporate was my bread and butter. I also lately have been doing a lot of TV, and so my company produces a reality TV show for a network, and so I did a ton of traveling for that. And in addition to that, I've done feature films too over the decades. I've done 5 feature films. So there is some stuff you might have seen, but I don't know. Some commercials, but not as much.
Were you the producer?
I was the writer, director, producer.
Okay.
Yes, I was everything on those. But I kind of got burned out on the whole Hollywood thing. It's a brutal industry, and it takes the joy out of it. So I kind of came back to my first love, which is just going out and being creative with cameras and getting back into corporate, which then led to, you heard my story about getting into flying, which is the drone stuff. Well, I wish I had put 2 and 2 together and started my channel when I started flying. The people that started with these new things called GoPros, and they just started sticking them different places, the cockpit of an airplane.
Wasn't that long ago that they showed
it wasn't, well, it was 10 years ago already, but those guys have tons of viewers and subscribers because they started back when it was just novelty. It was unusual content to begin with. Nowadays, you can start doing that. It's not unusual. You're not going to, people think it's real quick, easy to make a YouTube channel, and it's not. But I started flying, but I didn't put, and then I had my business of doing video production. And I had 6, 7, 8 GoPros that I used for business, and all my other cameras and everything else. But flying was for the drone, So I didn't put it together that, hey, I could put a GoPro on the camera and start. And it wasn't until in the business world, I had a client ask me, how do I build our company YouTube channel? And I had a lot of theory, and I have my own YouTube channel for my company, but I had 50 subscribers. I mean, it's a business to business, a B2B operation. You're not going to get numbers. Right. So it's not about that. And so I could tell them, well, here's how they say is the best to build a YouTube channel. And I realized, I wasn't speaking from a position of experience. And so I decided, you know what? what can I do as an experiment to see how to build a YouTube channel so I could talk to my corporate clients.
Yes.
And so, I know, I could put GoPros when we go flying to this shoot and I take the crew, I could throw cameras on there and start to try to build a channel that way. So it really started as an experiment to see if I could build a YouTube channel.
Yeah. And we had kind of met, and so like Dan
through Facebook.
We met through Facebook, through our the North Texas Aviators Facebook page.
Yeah.
We'd begun talking and stuff. So Dan had just started this channel, and he was looking for pilots to go fly with. And I was one of the very, early, like very first ones that he had reached out to, because you knew my presence on there.
You were okay. So on Facebook, you can't get it's hard to get a really good taste, but you were always so extrovert. You were always so positive. And, well, quite frankly, very likable.
Well, thank you.
And so on that, what happened was this. About 4 months into doing the channel of flying videos and putting the GoPros in the cabin and doing what everybody else is doing, the idea came about to do an In the Hangar type show where we just do hangar talk, as it were, and talk about these different things.
Yeah, so I was like, I think you had done like 1 or 2 other flights, and then you had reached out to me, and
you're probably thinking this creeper is
bit.
stalking me.
No, I'm just kidding. No. And Dan was like, well, I tell you what, Christy, he's like, if you get, you pass your commercial check ride, I will hire you for your first commercial gig. So I did the check ride, I got the commercial, and sure enough, he was like, great, let's go up. And I was like, wow, okay. So I think it was that day. He was like, so, honestly, I'm thinking of starting this show, and I'd like you to be my co-host. And I was like, okay. Like, really, it was very rough at first. Like, just the idea, the concept was there. And I was like, sure, I'll play along, I'll entertain this. I like talking about it. He's like, well, we'll get in the studio, we'll talk about airplanes, we'll this, that, whatever. Hey, I talk about airplanes all day, every day, so this works. So I remember, we got everything together, and we really didn't, like, we put it all together and everything, and then we shot that first season, and I just remember going, wow, that's, like, I think we have something, but I'm not 100% sure, like, what's gonna happen. And then we did season 2. And then people started recognizing me, like, in the FBOs and stuff. I literally, so I was doing contract work flying other airplanes at this point. And I would go to some of the local area FBOs, and people would walk up to me like, hey, are you Christy Wong? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, where's your sectional leggings? And asking me for my autograph and stuff. It was really, really weird. And I was like, all right. And then we shot season 3, and then of course season 4. And it's grown and grown and grown. But it was amazing how that opportunity kind of came together. It brought us together. And what I love about our dynamic, people keep asking, so here's the biggest question. Christy, are you going to go off and build your own channel? And the answer is not right now. I'm not going to say no, never, but not right now. And this is why. I think you and I have a very good balance on the show. You are film production first, aviation second, whereas I am aviation first and film production second. And that balance really, it's a very good dynamic. It keeps us all together, because if it were up to me, I'd be all Mike Patey and just record stuff on my iPhone and there you go. But you and I have
nothing wrong with that.
Well, no. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just you bring a lot of higher quality, value to what we do. And so I think you and I have got very, very similar missions for the show and just for aviation in general, but different visions of how to get there, which works, but it works well. But it's just amazing that Dan has, he gives me creative carte blanche almost to go and do these things. And I need to, now that I in my situation, if I get furloughed, I'm going to be taking advantage of that more. And we've talked about that. We've kind of briefed it ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands, Dan. Yeah. These are the things I'd like to do, and he is all for it, and I love that. Thank you again for letting me do that, because it's an amazing experience,
Oh, and the other thing to understand is I have my video production company and I have a small staff. But to pull something like this, I mean, even any shoots I hire freelancers all the time. I don't have enough staff to cover everything like that. So I have a rule. If it's a non-revenue producing thing, I can't use my business assets. And so in starting this YouTube channel and doing it in the hangar, it's non-revenue. I mean, people think that we're making tons of money, but we're not. And so as a non-revenue deal, I did not bring in the S Films, my company's assets and stuff, like staff. You know, I asked for all volunteers. And so the people running cameras were not the normal people I hire to do cameras. And we got a lot of volunteers in. So it was a little bit hard for me from a production standpoint because in some ways it's the S Films brand. And if we didn't have good camera work or good lighting or good sound, you know, it was hurting us. And the same thing in the airplane. And my you know, it's funny is because like I pitch videos, I do videos for companies in the aerospace industry. And I'll show them videos, and I'm a little bit worried about showing them some of the stuff on taking off because we're using GoPros and really bad audio sometimes and things that we just don't do in my world. And so it's been a struggle in that way. But as the channel has grown, we get a little bit of sponsorship. Thank you, Wingfield and Flying Eyes.
Thank you.
Flying Eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Flying Eyes.
And now I can hire some of my freelancers to come. And like this ACCA event, I've got, you know, I'm actually paying for some of my people to be here, and the quality goes up when we do that.
Well, and Dan and I have an agreement as well. I think this is a question that I get asked is, are you guys making money off the channel? The answer is there's a little bit, not a lot, a little bit of revenue coming in, but we've both agreed to put that right back into the channel by paying our staff, by, you know, paying for the equipment and paying for
their
the
meals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't realize how much it costs. I mean, it costs, you know, for hotel and food expenses and everything else. So the revenue that's coming in right now does not go to Dan and I. It's going to our staffers. And by the way, they're amazing. They have been so amazing. So shout out. I just want to get a shout out to Hannah, Alex, Forrest, and then we've got a couple of volunteers.
I still have some volunteers.
Yeah, so we've got Kevin, Ben, and Jay have volunteered. They've eagerly wanted to get involved. So thank you to all of them. But yeah, so as of right now, that's kind of where we're at as we grow the channel. Now, if we get to a point where we strike gold and, you know, things start really happening, Dan and I will sit down and we'll reevaluate. But that's where it stands. We love this channel so much. We love what we do. We're willing to reinvest that right back into it.
I think a lot of people appreciate the channel. The numbers are moving in a good direction. When I first was on the show, I had more subscribers than you. Since then, you have outgrown me by quite a bit.
We have grown fast, and that's been good. Part of me though struggles because I want the home run. You know, I want the one video that goes out there and gets 3 million views, like Brian Keith and Wolficorn just got. You know, but that's probably unrealistic. You know, and you just have to get solid base hits and doubles every now and then, and just slowly build. And we've been doing that. And you know, even as of when we shot the last in the hangar, we were at 11,000 last February subscribers. Now we're at 22. We've doubled just in 6 months.
Well, and really I think that's where that mentality too, that like, you know, you're the filmographer first and then aviation second. Me, I am excited about the aviation content that we're putting out, the different, like all the cool things we got to do this weekend and the people that I got to talk to about flying and things like that. That's what I mean, I definitely want the viewership, but I'm looking at it as in like, hey, we can push more like aviation content to the people. And you know, I get the opportunity to talk more about flying and airplanes, and I'm living this life's passion of mine. It's just an incredible experience. I'm so excited about what's coming next. You know,
it shows how quickly you can grow if you have something that's a little off the beaten path.
Yeah.
There are a lot of aviation channels, and there are hundreds out there that show their flights.
Yeah.
But there's only, you know, one Brian Turner, for example, who does the funny things, and only one professionally produced aviation talk show
in the hangar,
on YouTube like yours, and so you stand out, and people recognize that.
I want to kind of put this out there too. So like, of course, I'm not a professional actor. I'm not a professional like host or anything like that. We didn't have a teleprompter. We don't. I mean, literally.
We don't. In the hangar, we don't use it.
We don't use a prompter in the hangar. So everything you get on there, from the teaser to the intro to the closing to everything, is, I mean, pun intended, on the fly. Like everything.
Those quick teases that we do.
Oh my gosh,
we come up with them right before we
about
roll.
a minute and 30 seconds before we roll. So sometimes when they're goofy, or sometimes when they're a little shaky,
Now
or
you know why.
That's why. You know.
Well, okay. Then my favorite one is that Christy challenged me to work in 3 words into a tease. And if I did, I would, what was it, $1 or so, or a $5 bill or something?
I forgot what it was, but it was like, I bet you can't work it because it was sugar-free chocolate pudding.
That's right.
It was sugar, I think it was a
So
sugar-free
in the
chocolate.
tease, so going into the tease of this episode, I had to say sugar-free chocolate pudding. Are you an airplane owner? You wonder if you can do your own oil change, or if you can check and see if there's something in your fuel line like water or sugar, free the sediment. Well, we're going to be talking about what you can be doing to be putting maintenance into your own aircraft in the hangar. So I spread it out.
He did.
And made it make sense.
Yeah. Yeah, just stuff like that we've had so much fun along the way. We've learned a
Easter
lot.
egg.
Yeah, we've learned a lot, you know, from season to season. You know, you can go back to that first season and see that there were definitely some shaky episodes. And now you go back like season 4 and what we're doing now, you'll see like, so we're not perfect. We're obviously human, but they're a lot better quality. A lot of we had some audio issues. Those have been resolved.
We had, in the first season, the first episode that we recorded, the first 2 episodes, our volunteer camera person he double clicked it so he wasn't rolling. So we had and it was the guest camera close up. So all I had was a wide and me to tell this whole story.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Yeah.
And then you learn from those mistakes. And
Yeah,
find a way to
every
avoid
season we learn more and more. And the thing is, like, so I actually, for the next season of In the Hangar, I want to start like being behind the cameras every now and then too. I'm the host, but on the ones where just Dan does it, you know, I want to be behind the cameras and learn and see what they're like every time. Like I do that. I stand behind like Alex, for example, and I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Show me what you're doing. What are we doing here? You know, I'll tell you something about the airplane later. Teach me this now. You know, like.
So that if Josh Flowers takes your job as a host, you could take Hannah's job as the technical director.
Exactly, and then Hannah can take my job as a pilot. So.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe. No. So you know, just stuff like that. All of this though. It's a collaboration. It's a passion project. It's a work of love, is what it is. We do this because we truly, truly love it. I love this. I couldn't imagine not doing this now. In the Hangar and taking off are such an integral part of my life. I mean. It's just an amazing experience.
Shall we check out the desserts? And I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
And then we'll get out of here.
Let's do it.
All right. Dessert time. We're nearing the end. But
Are your cameras rolling?
A couple of more things I'm curious about. One is when I came. Yes. Okay. When I came to your show, I had the easiest job possible, right? I sit in the audience.
Like our job right now.
I watch, I listen, and you know, for the couple of episodes I was up on your stage for, you know, they were topics I was familiar with. We had discussed them before. All good, all fun. I enjoyed it, and then I see you doing this 25 or 30 times over the course of a weekend, with different people and different topics. And not much time between episodes. If I had tried that, I think my head would explode before the weekend's over. How do you prepare for that to make that manageable? And how does it actually work out then when it happens?
So I'm built to be a producer. And what I mean by that is that in the film and TV world, in the video world, a producer will be working on multiple projects at one time. So I'm very much the ADD kind of person that can be, and I'm very impulsive, and so because there's a lot of bad things about that, but the good things is I can, you know, handle a whole bunch of things at once. Okay, so that's an area that I can live in. I'll tell you, in season 2, I did not prepare enough. I did not do enough background, and at times I remember there was one situation where it was like, hey, Christy, why don't you do this one? I mean, they're sitting there, they're getting up on the stage. I'm like, Christy, why don't you do this one? And how about what do you think about this opening? Christy go, well, what about this? And so we worked it out. And what about these questions? And we're off the side doing that. And then Christy goes on and do the show. Afterwards, the next day, the guest emailed me and was pretty upset that we did not prepare for him, that we weren't really ready. And now I think he overreacted, and I think that he felt he wasn't very good because of it, right? And I thought he was good. I didn't tell you about all this. And or
New
maybe I
information.
did.
Well, you had told me that we needed to prepare better and stuff like that.
And that's where it came out
Yeah.
of. So I try to learn, you know, in everything, even on my channel, comments and stuff, I try to learn. And I try to make myself better. And so after second season, I now start a month out. And I start doing background. And I create a spreadsheet with tabs. This is what I did for season 3. A spreadsheet with tabs. And that's, I think, your first one. And so I had all my, I went, like, so I knew I was going to have Martin Polly. So a couple weeks before the episode, I go in and I create my questions, and I research you, and I went and looked at some of your videos, and I went and did some of that stuff, and I'll research it, and I'll create kind of like a you know, note card, you know, of different, actually I use note cards, of the different things I want to hit. And so then I can just get rid of that and I go to the next one. Oh, we're going to be talking to Joe Casey about, you know, and so I'll line up 30 guests, and I'll try to prepare as much as I can. Now, on the day, we might be presented with Martin Polly going, hey, I'm also real good on Lena Peak. I was like, ooh, let's add that to this, and we'll pivot. And I want to have that ability because I think some of the best shows have been that way.
Well, and I think part of it too was you don't want to burn the fuse, and there's a fine balance there. So we had decided early on in like the first and second seasons. Now we knew some of our guests already, like we knew who they were and whatnot, but there were guests that we obviously didn't know. And Dan didn't. The reason why he wanted me to do like episodes like that when I didn't know who I was interviewing was so that I could have an organic conversation with them. Mm-hmm. You know. So tell me about this. Who are you? What do you do? You know, things like that. He wanted it to come off genuine because again, we're early in the seasons, and I still have no clue what I'm doing. You know, stuff like that. And I think
and to address that, yes, in my corporate video business, some of my corporate clients might come off too rehearsed, too staged,
right,
too scripted, and so I'm all the time encouraging my clients to not be over prepared, because it doesn't work. Now, but there's a balance, and in season 2, I think I was underprepared. So I don't want to be over-prepared.
Right.
I don't want Christy to be over-prepared. So that's what I.
Right.
Yeah,
But that's part of the learning lesson. That's part of the balance. Is, you know, we're trying to figure out like, you know, how to manage that, because we want it to be organic. We don't want to burn our fuse, but at the same time, we also want to like be a little bit prepared so that we can have more direct questions for that
better
person.
Questions.
Better
we
questions.
can probe better if we know, oh, this product does that, and I didn't know that. I'll tell you again, I think it was second season. I was on the set, and I really had, again, second season was kind of a turning point for me because I got on the set and I did not know why I was talking to these people, and they were really important people. I didn't live in the world that they lived in that part of aviation. And it was a big deal. Their thing was a big deal. And I was asking stupid questions because I just didn't know. So I came out of that and said, never again.
But so he creates a spreadsheet, and then I get access to it, and I go in. So I'll do my research. I'll add my notes as well, and we collaborate on that. And then as far as the day of, for me anyway, I mean, we bring in a bunch of different wardrobes for wardrobe change, and then it's like a mad dash. I mean, you saw us. It's like, all right, roll credits, cut. All right, Christy, you're gonna do the next one. Blah blah blah. Go ahead, go get your wardrobe changed, touch up your makeup. Blah blah blah. You know. And something I had interesting this last season is I actually had a hair and makeup lady.
Yeah,
that was new.
Season 4, we've been able to improve every time because now we have a little bit of sponsorship money, can hire some of the freelancers and bring in a makeup person. So season 4 was even another step up. And I think we did 34 episodes over the 2.5 days. So in season 4, as we've amped up and gotten better, one thing that's been an immense help is I brought in an associate producer who could watch our backs from an aviation standpoint. I had an associate producer, Alicia, who's from the video world, but she's not a pilot. So what I did is I brought in Matt Wells, who is a pilot and he's air traffic control. And now Matt, I bring him in a month before, and I'm using him more and more. Now he's becoming the point of contact with all our guests in the month before this big taping, and he'll give them everything. And then Matt, in season 4, I had a cheat screen. We put an iPad that's just beyond the camera for me, and I could see it. And if Matt, as a pilot, as an aviation expert out there, he was out there and he would send me a message of a follow-up question or something.
That was cool. It's growing though, and we are we're going to continue to grow and expand. We just filmed some in the hangars this weekend, so that's cool.
On location. Here
on
at the
location.
ACCA. So we got 9 done.
Yep, and we will be doing season 5.
Yes, well, season 5 in the hangar will probably be toward the end of the year, November, December this time.
Yeah.
Because we shot so many in February, and we shot these 9 that, instead of it being every 6 months, which is what it was, it's probably going to be a little bit later. No.
There's a lot of
COVID thing. Puts
exactly.
Everything.
There's a lot of up in the air because of that, but
Right.
we'll see what we can do.
And I mean, speaking of the future, are you at all concerned about your ability to come up with new topics, new guests to avoid repetition? Because aviation, it is a pretty broad area, but if I look at the message boards, if I look at textbooks, a lot of topics are covered over and over again. And so far, I think you've been able to avoid that. Is that something you think you can continue to do?
When we first started this show, we were worried about that, and
wasn't I worried? I had somebody tell me, I can't remember if it was on the boards or something, when we announced that we were going to do this. Somebody said, well, after 10 episodes, you're not going to have anything new to talk about.
Well, and I was worried about it too, but then once we got into it, I quickly realized, oh my gosh, we have we could have, seriously, we could have 100 different episodes just on emergencies.
Yeah.
Those are amazing stories, especially when you've got the pilot in command there to talk about what they went through, how they dealt with it, things like that.
Like the Dan Bass story, that was phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. And that's the thing is that, those episodes, we try to aim for around 20 minutes usually, 15 to 20 minutes. That story ran 44 minutes and people were still asking for more. Yeah. So.
And I cut it off too soon.
Yeah, but we had gone 44 minutes or something. Yeah. Or no, we had actually run a little bit longer than that, but you had edited just a couple of things out to shorten it up by a couple minutes. Yeah. But just on that, there are so many topics and we come up with new things. We should talk about this. We should have a guest on like that.
So we've almost got 100 episodes. I've already got still 8 left in the can, so we're at 106. We just shot 9, that's 115.
I am happy to hear that because I'm looking forward to seeing many, many more episodes of In the Hangar and maybe coming to visit again.
Oh yeah.
Oh, please, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for taking time today to talk to me, Dan.
Yeah, you bet.
All the best,
Absolutely,
Christy.
Thank you.
And safe travels home.
Yes, thank you very much. You as well.
And see you again soon, I hope.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
All right.